Thanks for tuning in, guys. This episode is brought to you by Old Man Copper, Smoke Eater, Mustache Wax. Literally smells like a freaking house fire. Keeps you thinking about jobs all day long. Use discount code COPPER, COPPER, 10% off. Good dude. Check him out. Instagram, Facebook, website, oldmancopper.com. Thank you. All right. Welcome back, everybody. I had the privilege to sit down with Chief Fuller, Jason Fuller, in 2026. So right now, will be 30 years in the American Fire Service between volunteer and career. He is currently a Deputy Chief of Operations, Training, and Prevention for the French Camp Fire District. He's also the owner and cadre of the Ambassadors of the Craft. And that's where we're going to be going today when we start talking about March Mayhem. All right. He is California State Fire Marshal Instructor. He'll be right now this year, 25th anniversary with his beautiful wife, Julie, and my brother, Jason Fuller. Please tell me about your kiddos and anything else you want the audience to know about you for your bio, my brother.
All right, man. Thanks, Steve-O, for having me on, dude. It's a pleasure. So like I said, 25 years of marriage to my wife, Julie, this year. 3 amazing kids. My daughter, Kylie, is 20. She's a sophomore at GCU in Arizona in the nursing program. My oldest son, Cade, is a senior in high school, and he just got accepted to the Honors College at GCU for biomedical engineering. And my little guy, he's not so little. He's way taller than I am. He's a sophomore in high school, and he's a big golfer. Thinks he wants to be a CPA. So I don't know. We'll cross that, but he's got a few more years to figure that out. Yeah, man. I like being outdoors. I love playing golf. I love baseball. I love football, especially college football. I'm not a bandwagon fan. I was born and raised. I know we lost, but go Bucks. Through and through. I was born and raised in Ohio, so I'm Ohio State through and through. Camping, fishing, I just love it all. And I'm also the co-founder of the March Mayhem Fire Conference in Boise, Idaho.
Fair enough. Thanks for correcting me, my brother. And so let's back off for a second. First of all, the Ohio State, for the guys that can't see the helmet that are watching on Spotify. It's funny. My boy, before he quit playing lacrosse, wanted to play for Ohio State. But the craziest thing about it is because it was only the only college that was the Ohio State, which was funny as fuck. But I'm like, dude, whatever. You go to D1 school, we're talking. But so with everything out of it, my brother, we met back in freaking Mississippi. You guys are fucking turning and burning with Ambassadors of the Craft. So before we get into March Mayhem, you're in your intro, we talked about it for a second. So you're coming up on your 10-year anniversary with AOTC. So when I talk to guys anywhere in the social media realm of the fire service, where, the niche inside the niche, they know you guys. So just please explain to the audience, hey man, where did it start? Because we're talking 10 years ago. And then where are you at now? But more importantly, if you walk away tomorrow, where would you want to be where you're like, bro, I did a good job for the American Fire Service? Because again, I know, and the guys are about to figure out right now, that's really what you guys are about, is making sure the American Fire Service is better, than we left it. So if you don't mind, my brother, just elaborate on your business right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll actually start back a little bit before I started AOTC. I had some really good mentors in the fire service get me where I am today. And if it wasn't for Chief Ed Hatfield and his training company back in the day, Firetown Training Specialist, that's what really lit my fire for the instruction side. He took a chance on me, brought me in. I got to work with Firetown and some amazing instructors. They were all truck work, forcible entry, search, ventilation. They're all West Coast dudes, because let's be real, I'm probably going to get some hate on this, but the West Coast does the best vertical ventilation in the country, hands down, 100%. So, I really, at that point in time, I really was loving truck work. And I still do, even though I'm an engine guy through and through. So, that kind of got me into the traveling around the country, teaching, passing on the craft. And then in about 2015, my department, I saw it. We needed a change. We were still running 1.5 hose, selectable gallonage nozzles, 100 psi. We were just pressure washing fires. So I really dove into a hose and nozzle study for my organization. And through that study, I found a renewed love for engine work. And so it kind of took off from there. So in my area, there wasn't a lot of training companies. There wasn't a lot of stuff going on in my area. So I reached out to a buddy of mine, Matt Doney. He's with Brothers in Battle now. Matt's a solid fireman, just promoted to battalion chief, just a great dude. So at that point in time, I had my own forcible entry door. We'd go to departments around here. He'd drive down a couple hours. We'd go to these volunteer departments on the weekends or a drill night. We'd put on a free forcible entry class or, whatever it was. And so at that point, I reached out to Jerry Herbst at Elkhart Brass and just kind of told Jerry, what we were doing. At that point in time, it was just me and Matt. And Elkhart took a chance on me. And Jerry's like, hey, expect a package in a couple months. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I get home off a shift one day and there's like 4 boxes on my front porch from Elkhart. Well, it was a bunch of Elkhart nozzles, pressure gauges, the whole 9 yards. And Jerry was just like, here, we believe in you. You believe in us. So that kind of touched everything off. And then in 2016, I was like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to try this, right? I'm going to create this company and we're just going to see what happens. And even after creating it, same thing, just traveling around, going to departments, just doing stuff for free. Leave my house at 5 a.m., drive 2 hours, go put on a all-day class, have dinner with some dudes, and drive home. Um, that's really how it started. Then I got hooked. I was fortunate enough to get hooked up with some boys from Ohio and that state above Ohio. I can't say the name because I'm an Ohio State fan. But anyway, that state above Ohio. Was fortunate enough to teach at the Oath Keepers Fire Conference out of Ohio for 5 years. So I got to meet some really good people there. That's where I first met Kyle Rummagus, and just a bunch of other great firemen. And so yeah, I like I said, I had my own forcible entry door that would break down, throw it in the back of the truck, load up a bunch of hand tools, and take off and go do training. And then, so about 2015, I saw that there was a need in our organization. We were still using 1.5 hose, 100 psi nozzles. We were basically, like I said, pressure washing fires. So I dove into a hose and nozzle study at that point in time for my department, and through that, kind of got me rejuvenated for engine work. So that's kind of where we still kept with our roots of forcible entry and search and that sort of stuff, but we really dove into the realm of engine company operations. And so, like I said, I was fortunate enough to go back and teach for 5 years in Ohio at the Oath Keepers Fire Conference. I met some really solid, incredible firefighters back there. Got to hook up for the first time back there, which when I met Kyle Rummagus, Smoothbore Nation. Kyle is a huge mentor of mine. So we started going down the path of engine work. And then 2021, we took a family trip to Idaho. My wife's got family there. And I went by one of the Caldwell fire stations, and I'd met a guy on social media. His name is Drew. He was on duty that day. So went by and was talking to those guys and just telling them, how cool would it be to bring some training to the state of Idaho? And they were like, hey, man, you need to hook up with our engineer. His name's Gino. He's originally from California. He's president of the Fools chapter out here. And I was like, yeah, dude, that's cool. So got back to California. Shortly after that, Gino got in contact with me. So we'll stop that story there. We'll pick that up later. But now, going on 10 years of AOTC, we're 15 instructors deep right now. We have ranks from fire chief all the way down to rookie firefighter. We have firefighters or instructors from California, Idaho, Colorado, Utah, Texas, and then recently our two boys from Mississippi, McVeigh and Bradshaw. So, it's just amazing to see how far AOTC has come in 10 years. You know, we started out doing, stuff for free, and none of us in our cadre are in this, for the money. We went to Colorado for 3 years in a row to the Colorado Mesa University Fire Academy and taught those Fire Academy students for 3 years in a row at no charge. We've been to MAFC 2 years in a row. We've sold out every year at MAFC. In fact, last year, you can say we sold out 3 times. We sold it out, we added more spots, sold it out, added more spots, sold it out again. So, and then, just traveling around the country, man, it's an honor, it's a privilege to be able to do this and just to pass on the information that we've received over our, you know, however many years we have accumulated as a cadre in the fire service, but just be able to pass that on to the current generation in hopes that it'll just keep passing it down, passing it down, passing it down. Because well, I'll get to that in a minute when you ask me that other question. But yeah, AOTC, man, it's a family. We get asked all the time, like, "Hey, man, we'd love to come teach with you or do this or do that." We're a little bit different. We want to make sure that whoever we bring into our family is going to be a good fit. One, are you a good person? That's the biggest thing. Are you a good person? Uh, you know, your morals, your ethics, your love for the job. We look at all those things, and most of the time it's we teach a conference or we go somewhere, we work with these people, then we get together as a cadre, and they're like, "Hey, what do you think about this guy? What do you think about this guy?" It's no different with McVeigh and Bradshaw. I talked to the guys that went to MAFC and taught for us, and then with those of us that were in Mississippi, we just talked and we're like, these are the type of people that we want to bring into our family, our cadre. And I really do mean it's a family. I mean, everyone's wives, we know everyone's kids, so it's really cool. And when we get together, it's like one big family. We all have different personalities. I mean, you had Colin on. Dude, that guy, yeah, he's yeah. I love my brother Colin, and yeah, he's something, man. He's definitely something. He gets you hyped up on the training grounds. Yeah, he's that one dude. When you go out for a drink at night after class, you're always looking, make sure Colin's not backed up in a corner or something. But no, it's it's a good time, man. And to your question, if I walked away, what would I what was the question you had?
So if you walked away tomorrow and said, "Hey, man, I can hang my hat on this," because that was what you envisioned for the American Fire Service. What did you leave us better with?
Man, like I said, I just have to say it's all the text messages and Instagram messages that we get after a conference or after a training. It might be a week later, it might be months later, but when you get that, "Hey man, I was in your class at Twin Falls, Idaho, and we had a structure fire last night, and we had to push from the threshold to the fire room, and we were able to flow and move the whole time." Or like the message we got from Mississippi, after the Old South Full Summit, dude made a dual 2 ladder rescue. Just that kind of stuff right there, it keeps us going, and then it makes me realize that we're out there, what we're doing is good, and it's working. So as long as I can, if when I walk away, be confident that the message that we're putting out there now, that as long as that gets continued to get passed down to the generations to follow, I think that's all we can ask for.
Dude, so Chief, first of all, I love it, right? And again, the funny thing is, the more I get to know you, the more I like you. And I liked you from the beginning, which was weird because you were constantly touching this fucking stupid ass bullshit fucking fire hose and everything else while we're fucking with Kelly tools and fucking Halligans and everything under the sun. But right, you said it from the get go. That's kind of where you cut your teeth, and then you got into, and then you had the new appreciation for the suppression side. But let's kind of rewind for a quick second before we get into what you guys are doing this year coming up. So 10 years ago, basically, so 2016, let's rewind. Why'd you even start? What did you feel like was missing in the American Fire Service, or maybe just your region, why you started your company, Ambassadors of the Craft? Because again, you guys have been trucking along for a long time, and now you're this fucking juggernaut growing and going. So, but what sparked that initial, like, hey, I need to affect a change for the American Fire Service? What was your outlook, brother?
So, like I said, in our area specifically, I felt there was a lack of good quality training. At that point in time, we used to have FDIC West Coast. That was gone. Uh, Firehouse World was on the cusps of starting to kind of shut down. So we had no conferences really in the state, and there wasn't but one big cadre going up and down the state, but they were only really doing truck stuff. So, like I said, then once I dove into the engine world head first, and then I started looking at agencies, both in my county and some surrounding counties, and they were still using, the inch and a half hose, 100 psi nozzles, pistol grips. They thought just because they had their selectable gallonage set at 125 that they were getting 125, and they were just getting worked, and it was the whole grab the pistol grip, crawl on your knees, head down, the just the IFSTA type stuff. And so like I said, once I really started diving into the engine realm and meeting and hooking up with like-minded guys from the engine side, like I said, especially Kyle, I was just like, okay, this is something that I got to do. Now, like I said, I was going to these apartments. I had my own hose, I had my own nozzles that Elkhart had given me. And I wasn't going out there trying to sell anything. I was just going out there to try to educate, these departments like, look, there's a better mousetrap out there. And so as it went along, fire chiefs or battalion chiefs or captains would come up to me and they're like, hey, this is great. We can see the need for this. But, one thing is, how can we implement what you're teaching with our current attack package? And then two is, we want to do something like this, but we can't afford it. So then that really made me start thinking like, okay, how can I not only go out there and show these guys technique, but what kind of information can I pass on to these departments when I hear that, we can't afford to do, I can't afford to buy 1,000 feet of hose, and I can't afford to 20 nozzles and this, that, and the other thing. So that's when I really started digging deeper. And, even to this day, when I talk to departments that tell me that, I'm like, okay, well, can you afford to buy the nozzles? Yeah, we can afford to buy the nozzles. Cool. Are you, as long as they're running inch and three quarter, I'm like, can you afford to buy maybe 50-foot sticks of good inch and three quarter hose? They're like, yeah, we can do that. Okay. Well, now you got to start. Now you can finish your attack lines with 50 feet of good hose, and you can put the nozzle on there you want. Okay. That's the starting point. Now, next budget year, maybe budget for the next 50 feet of hose behind that. And within 2 or 3 years, now you've got your desired attack package. And so that's, in my role now as a deputy fire chief, it's easier for me now if I go to a training and there's a chief there, I can walk over to him and we can start rapping back and forth. And then the question always comes up, or the statement like, hey, this is really cool. I see what you're talking about, but we can't afford to do all this. And so that's when it opens the door for me to be like, you don't have to do it all at once. You have to start small and then work your way toward the ultimate goal. Um, but yeah, I mean, you know, in 10 years, I mean, every time I teach, I learn something. In Mississippi, with the cadre instructors that I had there, I was able to break away a couple times, just kind of walk around and see what else was going on. And I was picking up tips from you guys over on the knuckle dragger side. So it's like every time I teach somewhere, we you learn something. We always ask the students too, how do you guys do it? We're going to show you a couple different ways, but how do you guys do it? And most of the time, if the students aren't super shy, they'll be like, well, we do it this way. Oh, cool. Well, let's try that. Hey, that's actually pretty cool. And nothing that we're showing, we didn't invent any of this, right? We didn't invent any of this. But again, if we don't get it to the forefront and if we don't get it out there, we don't pass it down, then it's just going to die with those guys that did come up with everything. So that's why I think we just got to keep preaching the poison and just keep passing on the knowledge. And yeah, man, that's just we're we're a very blue collar, non-sterile training company. I mean, you got to work with Colin in Mississippi. He is the textbook of non-sterile. And in our training environments, we try to create that non-sterile and training environment because we're not going to sterile environments when we go to fires. And we'll touch on it more when we talk about mayhem. But yeah, we're very down and dirty, blue collar. There ain't nothing fancy about us. Yeah, right? We love to work. We love to teach, and we come to work and we work hard.
And so, Chief, listen, like again, as I said with Colin on his episode, again, this is a lot for me too, because I'm a fanboy. The AOTC, as it like literally as soon as I found out you guys are coming to Mississippi, it was just like I have to make sure I'm there in some sort of aspect so I can entertain and at least interject with these guys because I know your training outlook and perspective and exactly what you just said. It's just like, hey man, like, how do you guys do it? And exactly what you just said. Okay, cool. Good deal. Why? Why you do it that way? Oh shit, because these are how your commercial buildings are, or your residentials, or whatever the fuck it is. Like everyone listening to this understands, like firefighting is geographical. Yes, correct. But the more you get out of your geographic, right, the better you become as a fireman. So, like I said, we got a chance to meet up in Mississippi. You guys are the fucking man. Well, and again, fucking Colin, he's still my man crush, right? Because again, it's my fucking louder guy, right? So if I can do a married man, it's gonna be Colin forever, and I don't care, but it's okay. But so you come into the mix, and I knew I liked you, and it was weird because you're an engine guy. So you got your AOTC, you got 10 years in the mix. This is now year number 5 for March Mayhem. It's crazy because I have been preaching it, my brother, here in Arizona right now, because it is again, personal opinion, Fireman's Conference. If you guys look on the schedule, outside of all the good freaking classes are sold out, right? Actually, I think all the freaking classes are sold out. But I'll let Chief get into that. But again, it is, again, and I want you to talk about it. You guys have just expanded year after year after year. So this year coming up, 2026, March, is it the 10th? Is that correct? All right.
10th through the 14th.
Okay, so the 10th through the 14th in 2026 is coming up in a couple months. Please explain to the guys that have been in the dark, that haven't seen it, right, on how you guys shine over all the other conferences. Because I'm telling you, I've been a fireman on the East Coast. I'm a fireman now on the West Coast. You guys have everything encompassed right now. Please explain kind of what you guys are doing this year, how big you've become, and then kind of what the vibe is going on, Chief, if you don't mind, my brother.
Yeah, so I'll take it, like I said, I'll take it all the way back to 2021 when I first met Gino and we first started talking about this. And as we talked more and more throughout 2021, I was like, okay, this is actually going to happen. So in March of 2022, we held the first ever March Mayhem. Everyone's like, well, how'd you come up with the name March Mayhem? Well, March was easy because we held it in March. And then Mayhem, a couple different things. Mayhem, one, just because it's a conference, it's going to be mayhem. And two, I'm a huge Rich Froning fanboy, CrossFit, Mayhem out of Tennessee. Dude, so you have Colin Ward, I have Rich Froning. So anyway, so we were like, dude, March Mayhem. So that's boom. That's where it started, March Mayhem. So then we start talking about, okay, what are we gonna do? Like, okay, well, let's do a lecture and let's do hands-on. Year one, it was 1 day lecture and it was 2 days hands-on. We had myself, Matt Doney, Kyle Rummigus, and my buddy up from Northern California, Travis Cherdelsky. We traveled out to Idaho. Kyle did 2 lectures on the first day. And the second day, we did the first day hands-on. We did all of our skill stations and everything. Then day 2, we put it all together under live fire conditions. We had, I believe, 45 people sign up for the conference the first year. And dude, we're ecstatic. We're like, whoa, dude, 45 people. Rock on, dude. I mean,
Yeah.
we had a blast. Idaho's beautiful. If you've never been, the Boise area, all that, Caldwell, Nampa, it's beautiful up there. And it gets me out of California into a free state for a week. That or I go down to Arizona, one of the two.
There you go. Yeah.
So we wrapped up year one, and then right away, I think Gino, took a week off to breathe and to smooth things over with the wife because he'd been going balls to the wall. Then we started talking about 2023. What's 2023 going to look like? So we still kept it at a 1 day lecture, 2 days hot, but we started bringing in some other lectures and we started bringing in some other hands-on training. Year 2, we did our lecture at Boise State overlooking the blue turf of the football field from the sky room. It was amazing, dude. That view, looking out, seeing that blue field. In the morning, it had snow on it. By the afternoon, it had melted off. So that year was a good year. We upped our registration. We were probably upwards of I think that year we probably got up around 100 people. So again, we took a little time off and then we started looking at 2024. And then 2024, same thing, 1 day lecture, 2 day hands-on. This year, and then in 2024, we expanded over a couple different hot sites. The first year we were solely at Nampa Fire, using their training grounds, which was amazing. But as the years went on, we started adding more hot classes, then we had to start adding more hot sites. So in 2024, we did the Egyptian Theater in downtown Boise, which is really cool for the lecture. And then last year, 2025, we went back to Boise State overlooking the football field. Again, 1 day lecture, 2 days hands-on, and our numbers kept going up and up and up and up and up. This year, we actually formed a 6-person board for the fire conference. So we have our own March Mayhem Fire Conference board. We sat down as a board and we kind of made a ballsy move. We went from a 3-day conference to a 5-day. So we went to 2 days of lecture and we're going to have 3 days of hands-on. So Tuesday and Wednesday will be lectures. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday will be hands-on. We've expanded, I believe, to 5 different hot sites this year, and I believe 3 out of the 5 will actually have live fire. So I know our class, the AOTC class, we will be doing live fire. Eric Wheaton and the Can Confidence will be doing live fire. Yeah, dude, his class has sold out every year since he's been coming.
Yes.
Our class is sold out. I mean, our class sold out in 8 minutes this year. I mean, that was pretty freaking cool. Registration opened like 8:08. Brian Bonner, our media guy, one of our cadre, texted all of us. He's like, "Hey, dude, we sold out 8 minutes." I was like, "Dude, that's crazy." And see, there was a couple other classes that sold out quick too. A Can Confidence sold out super quick. Dadgum's search class sold out super quick. And the cool thing about the Dadgum class is we're going to have some of our AOTC dudes jumping in with the Dadgum guys for the search class. So that's going to be a little crossover, which is going to be really, really, really cool. But every year we do a social. The first year we did it, there was a local firefighter from the area. His daughter was battling cancer, so all the proceeds from the raffle that year went to her and her treatment, and she's doing great now. So that, I mean, stuff like that helps, man. You always see all these GoFundMe's and everything, but it really does help. Yeah, the monetary donations and all that stuff helps on stuff like that too. But just it doesn't matter if you're religious or not, man. Just the power of prayer too. So that was a huge testament, that she's healed up, she's doing good, she can, live a normal kid life. So after that, this I get a little choked up on this one. Right around year 3, or was it year 3, year 2 of mayhem, my dad passed away from cancer. He had 25 years in the fire service in the state of Ohio, retired as a fire chief. So Gino brought up the idea. He's like, "Hey, what if we start a scholarship fund under your dad's name and we use all this raffle money that we get to send firefighters to conferences?" I was like, "Dude, yeah, 100%, man, on board." So through that, we've created the Chief Ed Fullmer Training Scholarship Fund so we can send firefighters to trainings across the country. And in fact, right now, up on our social media, we have a giveaway, a free 5-day mayhem conference pass. Details are up on our AOTC Instagram. You just got to shoot us a video, tell us what it means to you to be in the fire service, and then shoot us a video of you out flowing and moving some hose. And once we get these submissions, we're just going to sit down as a cadre, and we're going to pick a winner, maybe 2, but for sure we're going to send somebody to March Mayhem this year. But like I say, every year we do a social. This year, 2026 is going to be really special because it is the 5-year anniversary of March Mayhem, and it's going to be the 10-year anniversary of AOTC. So it's we're going to go big this year. The socials are great, man. You just get to meet people from all across the country, even Canada, and it's just a good time to relax and just kind of shut the job, so to speak, and just hang out with fellow like-minded brothers and sisters. So last year we had students represented from 14 different states in Canada. So we're not just pulling firefighters in from surrounding like Idaho, Oregon, Washington. I mean, we had dudes from Detroit Fire there last year. Shout out to my boys down at SoCal San Diego Fire. They've been to Mayhem 2 years in a row, taking our classes. I heard they're coming back. Yeah, I mean, we're pulling firefighters from all across the country into this conference. It's cool. Gino and I always say that, back in 2021, when we first started talking about this, we had no idea what kind of machine this thing was going to turn into. With everything selling out this year like it has, it is just it's an honor, and it's a huge testament that we're actually doing something good and something that people want.
And Chief, I agree. I can't even enunciate on how many times I agree on everything you guys are doing, and the energy and the vibe and the fucking and the passion for the job is just extruding in this. So it is January 2nd right now. We're pushing this in front of everything else. So this will air in about a week. So we're looking at like the middle of January. Can guys still sign up right now? I know it's only 2 months away. And if so, how do they do that, brother?
Absolutely. So we still got a ton of lectures still open, both days of lecture. We got some really, I don't have the lecture list in front of me, but off the top of my head, I know we got Bo Butler, we got Candace Ashby, we've got Sean Duffy. I mean, we got some heavy hitters coming in for 2 days of lecture. So lecture seats are still available, and there are some hot classes still available here and there. I believe my boy I met last year, I love this guy, Rob Ramirez. I think Rob's class, if you can't truck, if you can't RIT, I think he's got some spots open still. There's some standpipe class open still, a few spots in some different search classes. So there are still some hands-on options available out there. And then also wait list. If there's a class you like, you want to try to get into, it's full. Jump on the wait list because, unfortunately, things happen. People have to back out all the time. But you can either go to firenuggets.com and get registered up through Fire Nuggets, or you can go to March Mayhem Fire Conference, that webpage. At the top of the page, click on register and go through, and it'll dump you into Fire Nuggets, which there you can see a list of all the lecture instructors, and then all the hot classes are going to be offered. It is pretty cool to click on a hot day and it's all grayed out because it's all sold out. It's a pretty cool feeling, man. It really is. And like I said, this this will be our 5th year of AOTC teaching there. We've sold out every year. We upped our numbers this year because we're doing a split track, engine track, truck track. So we upped our numbers, and we still sold out in 8 minutes.
And Chief, it's amazing what you guys are doing right now. And the craziest thing is, so there is, in my book, again, personal opinion, right? So two major fire conferences every year now, right? March Mayhem and FDIC. And I love what you guys are fucking doing. You're competing, and just being honest, with some fucking big dogs in that month without naming anybody. But it's like that's a hard push. So with all that though, like, are you telling me like Ramirez still has a fucking spot to be able to take his class? Like, if you're listening to this a point and there's a fucking opening still, shame on you if you're not logging on and freaking taking that spot, because they have basically the who's of the American Fire Service, but more importantly, today's American Fire Service. Let me just kind of harp on what these guys are doing right now in AOTC, and then Chief can correct me if I misunderstand or I don't even know what to say, like over exaggerate what you guys are doing. But in all reality, right? You guys are bringing the firemen back to the fireman conference. So you're listening to what the guys want, right? You got guys from Mississippi, I know for a fact, right? Teaching fucking squad by default, right? You got ladder company classes. You got NG company classes, hot classes, lectures. You got fucking the names of the names coming in, right? Because we're trying to do the American Fire Service better. West Coast to East Coast, it doesn't fucking matter. So all I'm trying to say is check out these guys. March Mayhem. I call them March Madness all the fucking time when I talk to the boys at work. And they're like, what? And I'm like, fuck, that's basketball. My bad, right? So, but with all that said, seriously, if you want a conference that covers every aspect of our fucking job, this is the boys to go see. And it's actually every fucking year. So March Mayhem, right? This year, the 10th through the 15th or 14th, brother?
14.
10th through the 14th, right? So many fucking classes to check out. So with all that said, 5 years, you guys are literally 1,000% better than you were on day one. So where do you guys see you going? Let's just talk 2027.
Well, before I move on, I do have to say too, we're gonna have something pretty cool at 2026. We're bringing in my boy Nozzle Toff, Mike Goldstein,
Yeah.
and we're gonna bring in Preston Lyons, and
Yes.
they're gonna do an actual pod class during the lecture. Well, they'll be live on stage. They'll pull up instructors, whoever it may be, on stage, and they're gonna do basically a live podcast. We're gonna call it a pod class. And then throughout the hot days, both of them are going to be bouncing around between the training sites, doing little podcast bits and pieces with all the different hot classes that are going on, talking to the students, talking to the instructors. And then on top of that, we have a 15 plus person media team. Our media, I'm probably biased, but our media is probably some of the best in the country, man. I mean, we got GoPros, we got helmet cameras, we got, cameras, we got drones, we got everything, man. So, and the cool thing is too, is student, wants pictures, you just hit up the media team afterwards, dude. They just dump you photos, dude. It's super cool. But as far as 2027 goes, I'll be honest, we're just trying to survive 2026 first. So, again, honestly, it's literally like a month break after a conference, and then we're on the phone, we're on the text message, we're planning the next one. So without having the Godfather Gino here with me, but I would say with the way 2026 is going, if everything shakes out the way that we hope it's going to, I would say 2027 is going to be no different. Yeah. So, like I said, if you missed the boat this year, definitely keep an eye on social media. As soon as we blast it out, that registration is open. I highly recommend. I mean, I've talked to people that said they had, a laptop open, an iPad open, they were on their phone, they had a timer set, and they were just banging it out as soon as, 8 o'clock hit. So, yeah, like I said, but if you see a class, you're like, dude, I want to go, I want that class. jump on the wait list. Cause like I said, stuff happens, people have to back out. So just cause it's sold out, who knows? But, there are some, really good classes still available. Also, if you can't get into a class or whatever it may be, or, the cost is if the cost is too steep, reach out to us. Reach out to me through AOTC, reach out to us through March Mayhem Fire Conference. Just be like, hey man, I really want to go, but cost is the issue. You know, reach out to us. Give us a chance to see what we can do. But with that being said, we always need volunteers. I know a bunch of us pushed out on our social media. It's on March Mayhem. We're looking for volunteers. If you want to make the trip up to Idaho and help out during the lecture, whether it's, I don't know, running and picking up lunch, or on the hot classes, running a saw to cut more wood for the forcible entry door or whatever. If you just want to be there and be involved, because I know FOMO is a real thing in the fire service, right? It's a real thing. You're like glued to social media for 5 days, just seeing everything that's going on because you're not there. It's real, dude. Because it happened to me last year at MAFC. I couldn't go due to some unforeseen circumstances, and I had all the faith in the world in my boys that went and taught. But I was like glued to my phone, like, dude, send me pictures. What's going on? I was looking at social media, so FOMO in the fire service is real. But yeah, there's always that opportunity to get to Idaho and volunteer and help out, and see what we're about. Like, maybe you don't want to spend all that money to come to a conference that you've never heard of or never been to. Well, come up and volunteer for a week and just see what we're all about. Again, this is not just like AOTC. We are not a sterile fire conference, man. I've been to a lot of conferences across the country, and as far as AOTC goes, on our burn days, we probably burn the hottest and the dirtiest out of a lot of cadre out there. And it's just to be able to give the student the most realistic experience in the training setting that we possibly can. We're not using smoke machines, we're not doing any of that. I mean, you're pushing a hallway with a hose line with, locomotive smoke a foot off the ground. You've got a search team in front of you searching ahead of the hose line. You've got a crew above you doing VES. Yeah, so we try to make it as realistic as possible. MAFC 2 years ago, I look up and I had to turn my chief brain off for a second because I look up and Colin is hanging out a second floor window with a baby doll and a handkerchief over his face with black smoke rolling out over his head, and he's banging on the side of the Connex to get these guys' attention, and he does a baby drop on them, and I was just like, oh my gosh. You talked about it with him too. Guys are making those rescues at Mississippi. He's got that fake dog, and then he makes the dog pee on him. It's like I told him, I said, dude, I'd never seen that before. That was amazing. And it kind of throws you off your game for a second. You're climbing a ladder, you've got a victim at the window with a dog. So you're in that mindset, and then all of a sudden the dog pees on you. I mean, dude, that's that'll mess with your mind for a minute. So but we're always trying to drive home the points to the students, and we have fun doing it, man. We love doing it. Like we all say, whenever we get together, dude, it's just cool to do fireman stuff with friends, man.
And Chief, I'll leave it at that. So it's like the Firemen's Fire Conference, fucking for sure. But the nice thing about it, again, like what Chief was saying, if you miss it this year, it's in about 2 months from now. Hey, it's going to be next year. Same deal. But even better, it's going to be bigger because every year these guys are elevating their game and just bringing the next level of training to you guys. So, Chief said, though, because I've been in that spot a million times. Listen, we understand we got to take time off of work. We got to take time away from the family. We got to either drive or fly wherever it goes. It physically costs us money to go to a training on top of the cost of the class. The fact that there's still companies out there like AOTC and conferences like March Mayhem that at least have an opportunity for guys to be like, hey, bro, plead your case. And there's at least a chance for some of us to be able to go to that conference and not have to worry about at least a registration fee is amazing because today's day and age, we have so many training opportunities, but it costs fucking money. It's a lot to ask for. We understand that. So we have Chief Fullmer that is wholeheartedly understanding that. So reach out to him, AOTC, right? March Mayhem. It's freaking amazing all the way around. Before we kind of transition off of AOTC, March Mayhem, everything else, and get into some fun fireman stuff, is there anything you'd like to leave the audience with when it comes down to either of those, my brother?
No, man, I would just say from both aspects, from the March Mayhem side and the AOTC side, if it wasn't for the students, we wouldn't be here, man. We wouldn't be able to do what we do. So it is truly an honor, and it's humbling to be able to do what we do. I mean, it's cool, man. I just can't put into words, being able to travel around the country and just do what we love to do and to be able to give back to the job that, has given us so much. So again, if you've been to March Mayhem, thank you. If you've taken one of our AOTC classes, thank you. If you haven't, hit us up, man. Like I said, we're not in this for the money. We're really not. We love to travel. We love to teach. So if you want to bring us out to your department, you want to bring us out to your local schools chapter, whatever it may be, yeah, we would love to. I'm stoked. I get to leave on Thursday, fly down to Arizona, hang out with Steve-O and my boy Fluger and Noah and the boys from Priority Fire Training. I got the opportunity, got asked to go down there to Arizona and teach for a couple days. So super excited about that. Hopefully I get some better weather than we have right here in California. But yeah, dude, just super, super stoked, super excited, and super humbled to be where we are in 2026.
All right, Chief. Well, listen, I love it, my brother. And just remember, guys, when you're out there, listen, we all have seasons in the fire service, but when you progress into the season of the hard charger, which I hopefully believe that everyone gets a chance to, look up guys like Chief Fulmer for March Mayhem, guys like the Old South Fools, the Can Report. There's the Engine House Designs. I could sit here and list these guys all day long. If you're on Instagram for a fucking hot minute, you're going to realize who the boys are. But more importantly, come out to March Mayhem. If you can't catch us this year, catch us next year for sure. And with all that said, so let's get into some fucking fun ass fireman shit. So, your region, what you guys run, let's talk about your bread and butter 95% house fire. Some guys will call it their room and content. Some guys will call it apartment off, whatever it is. So for you in your district, your city, your county, whatever the case might be, how do you guys run that initial assignment? How many engines, how many ladders, how many BCs? And then are you IC driven, SOP driven? If you don't mind, just march it out for the audience, my brother. Fight fire.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're a little bit of a unique animal. We have basically two districts, right? So we have our French Camp Fire District, which is we're one station, we're 3-0 staffing, and then we also through a contract for services for fire and EMS, we also contract with the city of Mountain House. A Mountain House is two stations. We have two engines, a truck, a brush unit, which is cross-staffed, a water rescue unit. So we kind of run fires two different ways. So French Camp, where my office is, I love it. We're on the south side of Stockton. Everyone knows Stockton, dude. Stockton goes through.
Yes, wait, hold on. Let's stop for a second. Fucking Stockton, motherfuckers. Those are the guys I need to get on because I see them all over Instagram. So, how close are you guys to Stockton? I'm just
So we
curious.
we border the city of Stockton on our north end, and we run mutual aid. They come into us, we go into them.
Okay.
Um, so in French Camp, like I said, we're one engine, we're 3-0 staffed. We cross staff a wildland rig also. But French Camp, dude, it's like John Wayne time. That's why I love it. We do some cowboy stuff, man. But just in fact, like last week, a week and a half ago, I think I sent you a picture. We had a working fire, it's like 3 houses down from the firehouse. Freaking captain didn't even have time to get his freaking BA straps on all the way before they set the parking brake. But something like that. First in unit, engine pulls up. Captain takes IC. He'll jump out. He'll do it. He'll give an initial on-scene report. He'll complete a 360. Backseater is stretching a line to the door. Engineers running tools up to the door, set of irons, a hook, whatever it may be. Part of our district, we don't have an established water supply. So we rely on, water tenders or second due for booster backup or whatever it may be. So officer does his 360, makes a determination. Okay, what are we looking at? Do we have a confirmed rescue? Do we have occupants outside? The officer talks to any occupants outside, gets an idea. I always drive home to my officers. We do an officer development class within our organization. I always drive home to my officers. Listen to the civilian, but do not trust what they say. So, just because they say everybody's out, that doesn't mean that we're not going to search, because that house is not clear until we have searched it and we say it's clear. So, and that comes from me, starting the fire service back in, 1996. It was drilled into our head like, hey, listen, kid, if it's 2:00 in the afternoon, there's no cars in the driveway, no one's home. That might have been the case back in the, mid 90s, right? But now, I mean, what ruined that? COVID. COVID ruined that. Families drop down to one car, husband or wife working from home, or they're staying home with the kids. They can't make the mortgage, so now they move the grandparents in with whatever it may be. I mean, that's a whole nother subject. So, my officers gathering intel, right? Firefighters stretching a line, he's getting masked up. We teach all of our firefighters mask up with gloves on. So they're getting masked up, whatever it may be. If the captain's not back, that firefighter can, force the door, dive in, live fire layout, whatever it may be. And then depending on the situation, depending how close our second due engine is, we I feel I'm gonna get crucified for this too. I know I will. I feel in the American Fire Service, there are organizations out there that put RIC too high on their priority list. To me, there are other crucial fireground tasks that need to be completed before I dedicate 2 dudes to the front yard. So, as long as we have 2 in, 2 out, we are golden. So that 2 out could be myself if I'm on scene and my engineer. That's my 2 out, okay? Or as soon as that second due engine, right, you hear the federal cue from a block away, guess what? The line's already been bled. They see headlights, they're pushing in. And that's exactly what our crew did the other day. They heavy fire involvement in a house that was built, I think it was in the 50s. It was a cinder block construction with lath and plaster ceiling and 1x6 tongue and groove roof deck. So this thing was an oven and it was going like a bomb. The guys pushed in through the front door with a 7/8, made a left into the living room, knocked out the fire, 180 to the right to the kitchen, dining room area, knocked out the fire. They had the majority of the fire knocked down before the third due unit arrived. So, and then flip side in Mountain House, like I said, with 2 engines and a truck company, and then an automatic aid truck company and a mutual aid engine. 95% of our time, our structure fires are knocked down and primary and secondary search is completed before the mutual aid engines even arrive. So we do run we call it a duty officer or battalion chief in Mountain House. So, they arrive on scene, they're going to set up command and then, start dishing out assignments from there. But yeah, I mean, we don't have the luxury of getting 5 engines, 2 trucks, a BC on our fires. And I personally like that, man, because it's more work, but it's fun work. And yeah, we get the job done. And, I will put my guys up against a lot of departments and because we train and our guys love the job and they're good at it.
And Chief, I'll tell you what, I fucking love everything you're saying because I work in the system and you know the area that I work in, but it is as soon as I click on the radio right here on my chest, I could have fucking 20 engines, 30 fucking ladders, 2 fucking heavy rescues, whatever, right? Everything underneath the sun. So with all that said, right, I love the fact of guys in smaller departments that are like, hey, bro, it's fucking us for a hot minute. We just got to go to work. And no offense to the system that I work in, but I believe, personal opinion, makes you a better fireman. That going the fact that, hey, the fucking ladder or truck company, whatever you call it in your system, they might be fucking 10 minutes out. So guess what? We're going to have to do some fucking search, right? And we're going to have to be aggressive on this while we have our buddies maybe advancing hand lines. I don't know. But again, I got nothing but love for guys that do more with less all the way around. So fuck yeah. With you guys doing all that work in a smaller system, I guess in the future, my question to you especially as a chief, would you be like, what is the next step for you guys as a department or as a region, I should say, when it comes down to, is it pretty good like mutual aid? Is it automatic aid? How does that work for you guys right now? And then where would you want to see it before you retire, brother?
Yeah, so we have in French Camp, we have automatic aid agreements with 3 neighboring agencies. And then we also, through mutual aid, we can make a request for Stockton, whether I need a truck, I need an additional engine, whatever it may be. So yeah, having those automatic aids, they're great. They work for us. My second due is still a little ways out, but that's fine. We know how to do it. We adapt to it, and like I said, I think we're pretty good at it. My thing is what I would like to see, and we just switched to a program called Tablet Command. I don't know if you guys run that down in Arizona. It's kind of like AVL. If you're on Tablet
Okay.
Command, you can see where every unit is, and it's supposed to be closest unit response. And that's something I think that is hindering the fire service even to this day with all the technology that we have is the closest unit response. The citizen doesn't care what it says on the side of the fire engine as long as someone shows up to help them in their darkest day. So I think that's something that I would like to see in the next 10 years, even in my region, is just the breaking down of the borders and just that closest unit. Like, I don't care if it's the next city over, but if I have an engine that is a half mile from that call, to me, they should be going, right? The department or the district whose call it is, they should be going as well. But there's no reason why that closest unit should not be going to that emergency. And so that's something that I would like to see happen more and more and more and more. And I get it, you know, a lot of fire district chiefs and fire chiefs, it's like my kingdom, this is my sandbox, stay out. But at the end of the day, what is our ultimate goal? It's to serve the public, to save life and property. So I I don't know. It's not like we're gonna go steal jobs. It's like what's best for the community, you know?
Yeah, and like you said, it's sable lives, sable property, everything under the sun. But it's funny because I was a fireman back east, and literally like the Baltimore DC region area, right? The guys there in the area understand what I'm saying. At some point, I was at Brooklyn Park, which borders another fire department. We could literally watch a house or a row home burn to the fucking ground from quarters. Literally, we could spit on it because it's across the border. But the problem is until I moved out here to this region, the Phoenix region, that's how everyone, the plain Jane, the guys that are not listening to this, the people that are not firemen, are not in public safety, right? They think they called 911 and they get exactly what Chief was saying. The closest truck, they don't give a fuck what it says on the side of it. City, volunteer, career, it doesn't fucking matter. All they know is they have an emergency to them, right? Well, preempted to them, right? That is their emergency, and they want someone there as fast as possible. And that could be from the working house fire where their kid is trapped in the fucking base or the basement, Jesus Christ, the fucking back bedroom, or they stubbed their toe fucking 2 weeks ago and it's 3 a.m.
Yep.
And everybody knows, right? But
Yep.
that is their fucking emergency. And the problem is the guys that are listening to this, they know across the country that is not the norm, which is fucking weird because that's what the public expects. Like we will get into arguments with city council, mayors, whatever in your area that guys are listening, the commissioner, wherever the money comes from, right? and they'll be like, what, where can I justify the expense of these guys? Because we are fucking expensive. We're a service, right? We're never designed to make money. People in cities and counties and everything else, they will come here because you have a good fire department and a good police department. Again, these are all my personal opinions. But with all that said, right, they also expect when they pick up the phone and call 911 that if there's a truck that's right across the street, it doesn't matter that it says city of not where they live, will come for their emergency. But again, I agree with you, boss. Like, it's fucked up that it's not like that. And again, in the Phoenix region where I work, it is 100% like that. And the guys around here think it's super awkward that it's not like that. But guys listening across the country, the majority of the country is exactly like we're talking about, Chief. Like, hey, man, it's the city or the county of A. That's the fire department that's coming. It doesn't matter that they're 10 minutes out. So, dude, I absolutely love it. All right, so we got your bread and butter house fire. You guys are fucking killing it with the AOTC, freaking March Mayhem again. Check them out. Social media, websites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. They're fucking everywhere right now. If you're not in the circuit, like, get in and they're going to pop up immediately. So outside of all that, my brother, right? So let's get into the why. So you've done so much in your career so far, 30 years between volunteering career in the American Fire Service. But why, my brother? So were you born like my boy Kevin Weiss, out of the womb, Halligan, my boy Colin Ward, fucking 24 on his shoulder, out of the womb, or like myself, did you come into it later on in life and then didn't realize it was your call until later? So why? Why did Jason Fuller get to the American Fire Service, my brother?
It's easy, man. Like I said, I was a snot-nosed kid, literally hiding in the back of my dad's Chief buggy when he'd go to a call.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, dude, like I said, my dad, 25 years in the fire service, grandfather in the fire service, uncle in the fire service.
Oh,
So it did it and it was different in Ohio, dude. It was I don't know. I went back a couple times and I've actually rode out with my dad's old department and they have a Sutphen tower ladder that they've had refurbed like 2 times, and on the turntable there's a brass plaque that has my dad's name on it. And I told him, I said, listen, when you guys finally take this thing out of service, I said, I need that plaque. Um,
yeah.
but just to be able to, yeah, dude, like I said, I grew up in it. I grew up in the firehouse. I had my mom made me my own set of bunker gear, dude, when I was like 4 years old. Yeah, I grew up in it, man. And then we moved to California and, going through high school and everything, we lived in the country. So I was a cowboy. I was a country kid, dude. I rodeoed for many, many years through high school. And then even after high school, I did rodeo. But, I remember one day in high school, fire department came in. We called it careers class. And they had a fire department come in. They were talking about an explorer program. And I was like, dude, there's my way to get into the fire service, you know? So, I started out as an explorer, volunteer, and then, now 30 years later, here I am. And it's cool. It's been a heck of a ride. There's been a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Early on in my career, I think I wasted a lot of time with my family not being around because I was always going here, taking this class, going to this conference, doing this, doing that, whatever it was. But yeah, dude, it's been a heck of a ride. I think every day it's like I wear my old man's lid to, that's the lid I wear at work was his leather from the 70s. So I still rock a piece of him with me every time I put that helmet on. And I constantly think, hope he's looking down on me. Hope making him proud. But yeah, dude, it was kind of like the family business, so to speak. Unfortunately, I don't think any of my kids, except my daughter, she wants to be a trauma nurse, whatever. But I don't think they're gonna follow the footsteps. But that's okay. They need to pave their own way. And but yeah, just super happy with the 30 years I have in. And everyone asks when I'm gonna retire, and I'm like, I don't know, one bad day or when I don't love the job anymore.
I think that's the most important thing that we've said all fucking night, right? It's exactly what you just said. When you don't love the job anymore, hey, that's a fucking time to retire because unfortunately, I know you know guys, I know 100% for a fact, so many dudes that you're like, just fucking retire, bro. Like, you're done at this point. But daughters wants to be a trauma nurse. I hate to break it to you, my brother. She'll probably end up marrying a fucking fireman, but whatever. It's okay. Right? You know, but with all that said, again, I have a huge fucking soft spot for generational firemen. I would love if one of my kids became, and again, I almost guarantee, I'd bet my next paycheck neither would, but the most likely would be my daughter over my son any day. He's not even close to the same, but so now we know the why, right? And it's been 30 years in the making. So part of our job, and again, why I personally love it so much, as so many people do, is traditions. It's what keeps us from the general public. But there's so many fire department traditions, not necessarily your region, but it can be. What is your favorite American Fire Service tradition? But more importantly, why? Why do you love this tradition so much, my brother?
There's a few, dude. But I think for me, is pictures, dude. Take the
Oh,
freaking pictures. Take the crew pictures, man. I don't care if it's
all
on the
right.
training ground, if it's after a fire. Now, be professional. I mean, if it's
Mm.
a fatal house fire, whatever it may be, right? You get a good, yeah, get a good job. Your crew goes in there and just slays it. Dude, take pictures, man. Just because you're gonna look back. Like the other day, I was just going through my phone. Back before I promoted, and I was still on shift. So we'd go out, we'd throw the ladder to the top of a building. We'd go up, we'd talk about, commercial vent, whatever. But hey, everybody, come over here by the tip real quick. Let's take a picture, or whatever it may be. Someone that the East Coast, I think, is really good at taking pictures. I rode out with Kentland for 4 days. Um, we myself and my now fire chief, we flew back to the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, but we flew into Reagan and we spent 4 days in Kentland before we drove up to New York. And dude, that you want to talk that's a whole other subject, dude. That was next freaking level, bro. I mean, running the freaking 400-foot, the 600-foot rear pre-connect. I'm riding in the bucket seat of Tower Ladder 33. If Big Irish Mike from Virginia hadn't grabbed me
Yes.
and freaking pulled me in, they would have left me. I mean, it's absolutely insane back there, right? But you walk into those firehouses and there's pictures everywhere, and it's not. Yeah, it's good for those of us that are here now, but it's what it's for those the next generation of brothers and sisters that come into this job. It's history, right? They step into that firehouse and they're like, "Oh, dude, check out this fire," and maybe that leads them to doing some research, whatever it may be. But I know it's probably you probably hadn't heard that one before, but I think take pictures, man. Take pictures, make memories. Because honestly, if you're doing the shift work, you're living with these people 1/3 of your life. They are your second family. Just treat them like family. And yeah, take pictures, man. Take pictures.
I'll tell you what, Chief Fuller can't put it out enough. Bring back in the day, and the guys that aren't old enough to know, we used to, at least back east, we used to have a cork board. And we had, I mean, granted, we had the fucking camera that you had to like crank, 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 right? And then you take a picture and send it off to fucking Walgreens. Half you motherfuckers listening to this don't even know what I'm talking about, but it's okay, right? But I am guilty of this, of not taking the picture where I wish I did, because there's so many calls that I look back and I'm like, fuck, man, I wish we had like a crew pick on that day or whatever it is, because you're absolutely right, Chief. It's like that is the snapshot of the moment in time that everything is fucking good. And the boys understand. It's like you catch a job, if it's either your third job of the shift or it's your third job of the fucking year and it's December, it doesn't matter. You feel the same way. You're excited. The morale is super fucking high. And then afterwards, like you said, take the fucking picture with the boys, because unfortunately now guys might argue, I don't feel like I'm old. I'm only mid 40s now, but I'm seeing a lot of fucking young dudes die. I'm seeing a lot of my mentors pass away. And it's like, I look back at those kind of things. I'm like, man, I wish I had a picture with my brother here or my brother there, whatever
Yeah.
the case might be. So again, like you said, pride and love for the job. But more importantly, you could be at the busiest fucking house and get your dick kicked in every second of every day, or the worst, slowest fucking bullshit house. If the guys are the guys, it's a great day. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, the calls don't matter. The trucks don't matter. It's a fucking boys. So might as well. I love that, Chief. No one has ever said that. Take the fucking picture. And I challenge anyone that's still listening over an hour in now. It's like, if you can, bring the cork board back to the house, print them up, and you don't even have to go to Walgreens anymore. Print them up at home and put them on the cork board of your jobs, the shifts, whatever you do. You would be amazed on what kind of morale that brings. So, Chief, thank you so much, my brother. Thanks for bringing that up, because that's something that brought back some memories of mine when I got into the fire service that no longer exists in my area, that I will make it a point to bring back, and I hope get some traction. So we got your favorite tradition. Thank God. I love that. Your boy Colin Ward says bumper time. It's kind of two in the same, right? It's just appreciate the crew of that minute of that day, because you don't know the next time you're going to see those guys and gals. So even better, my best fucking question, my favorite question, right? Snap your fingers, boom, instant, zero sweat equity, instant gratifications. You change something in the American Fire Service for the better, according to you, Chief, right? What is it? But more importantly, why? Why would you insert, delete, remove, adapt, whatever it is, into the American Fire Service? What do you feel so passionate about that if you could change, you would do right now, my brother?
Remove the toxicity from the fire service.
Ooh, please expand on that.
I mean, honestly, nothing will kill an organization, kill a crew faster than toxic environment. So, I mean, honestly, it's I mean, I don't know. People work different shifts, right? I mean, we're fortunate enough in our area. We work the 48-96, a 2 on 4 off. You know, guys are working 1 on 2 off, the new 1 on 3 off, whatever it may be. Okay. If you can't check your baggage at the door, and you can't get along with someone for 24 to 48 hours at a time, right? Then maybe this career is not for you. The toxicity in the fire service will kill the fire service faster than any house fire that we go to. And it kills an organization from the inside out. So if I could just snap my fingers right now and take one thing away from the fire service, actually I would take two things away from the fire service, but it would be the toxicity. Get rid of the toxicity in the fire service and just love the job, love your people, and come to work, do your job.
And again, I've spoke about it multiple times on multiple episodes on the confusion, literally asking my guests, like, hey, why? Why do we eat our own? Why are we so negative towards our own dudes? Because like I even said to Battalion Chief Chris Gray, like, you don't see a commercial on TV from a lawyer company dissing another one. All they do is say how they're the best, but they don't fucking talk about how trash Ralphie is, or whoever, fucking Lerner and Rowe, whatever your fucking area is. I see you laughing over there because I know you know, right? But with all that, like, but we do that, and it fucking sucks. And guys like us that are on social media because of these platforms see it firsthand, and it's fucking bullshit. So, but with what you were saying though, kill the toxicity, right? What would you? And I'm putting you on the spot. What would you say to that new guy? And when I say new guy, I'm preempting from a minute on the job to 5 years on the job. What do you tell that guy that you wish you knew? How do we hold that course, or how do we make the American Fire Service more efficient and effective, and guys willing to do that kind of shit without shitting on them. What would you tell that new generation coming in if it was gospel, my brother?
For the new guy, for that probie,
Yeah, that probie coming in.
be that thermostat, dude. You walk into the room, be that thermostat. Feel out the temperature in the room, and if you don't like what's being said, turn around and walk out.
Ooh.
Okay, turn around, walk away from it. Now you're that 5-year guy, and you're not the guy that is starting it or whatever. Then be the 5-year guy. You're not a new guy anymore, right? Step up, be like, hey, dude, listen. Okay, does it concern you? Does it affect you? Does it affect your crew? Is it affecting this organization? And if you can say no to all those, then drop it, dude. Shut up. Okay. We tell our officers, worry about a third of this department. Because we got A shift, B shift, and C shift, right? Worry about a third. If you're on A shift, worry about A shift. If you're on B shift, worry about C shift. If you're on B shift, worry about B shift. Whatever it may be. Past that, let the administration, let the chiefs worry about everything. Right? If it doesn't pertain to you, then don't talk about it, man. I mean, if you want to talk about it in a good way, that's great. Like, hey, dude, did you see that fire that B shift caught the other night? Yeah, dude, it's pretty good. They did a really good job, right? But if there's nothing positive that's going to come out of your conversation or nothing positive that's going to come out of your mouth, then shut it and don't say it. Because there's nothing worse than you got a bunch of dudes sitting around a kitchen table just bashing on somebody or bashing on a crew, and that brand new probie walks into the kitchen and he hears this. What kind of tone does that set for him? Right. So, like I said, as a new guy, be that thermostat, dude. Walk into a room, feel the temperature. It's like, is this something that I really want to be involved in? If it's not, turn around, walk away. Okay. And like I said, if you're that 5-year guy, step up, say something, man. Just be like, hey, this ain't right. We're not saying anything positive here. So let's just tone it down a little bit.
Chief, listen, thank you for fucking saying that. Honestly, wholehearted, because you literally said from the guy with 0 days on the job, right? Pro B, hey, if you don't like the atmosphere of the room, fucking leave. I'm going to add something to that, right? If you don't like the atmosphere in the room and you do leave, find a fucking fool's chapter, because that means you're one of the brothers and you want to make this job better. So again, if you don't feel comfortable with the department you work for, it's okay. You could be the busiest department in the world, FDNY, or the smallest department. Doesn't fucking matter. Find a fool's chapter and be around like-minded individuals and make the job better. That 5-year guy that Chief was just talking about, guess what, motherfucker? You're the senior fireman. You don't realize it, but across the goddamn country, 5 years and under, 50% of our fire department. So if you have 5 years on the job, guess what? You're the goddamn role model. So start acting like it. And again, I don't want to put words in Chief's mouth, but I know that's exactly where he's transitioning to. So with all that said, my brother, I know you got plans for tonight. I appreciate you sitting down. You guys are fucking killing it for March Mayhem, right? What do you want to leave the audience with so we can sign off?
Man, I coined this saying for ambassadors of the craft, and I think it rings true. It says, I just lost it. We must just like crops, we must cultivate our training if we want it to grow. So being a Midwest boy growing up, being a country boy, it's like if you just plant a field and you just keep replanting that field every year, every year, every year without any cultivation, without any fertilizer, anything like that, sooner or later it's just not going to grow, right? It's going to stop producing. So just like crops, we must cultivate our training if we want it to grow.
I love it. So, with what Chief was saying, that's up to you guys listening right now, right? If you don't like it, make it fucking better. Cultivate that training. Guess what? Give it a little bit of time. You're going to be the senior fireman, the senior officer, the senior battalion, wherever you guys sit at, right? In no time flat. Make it the goddamn fire department that we all joined in the 90s. I'm just going to leave it at that, brothers. All right. So again, my brother Chief, thank you so much. Chief Fuller, AOTC. March Mayhem, March 10th through the 14th in Idaho,
Yep.
correct?
Boise,
Right. And I
Idaho.
always say Boise, Idaho. I always say Idaho because it's Idaho, Idaho. I don't know why. That's my ADHD brain fucking kicking in. Fucking, if you can't make it this year, make it next year. It's same location, same good dudes. But guess what? More classes, more training. So all the way around, better yourself. We'll catch you guys in another 2 weeks. Thank you for tuning in. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. See you, Steve-O.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back in another 2 weeks. Remember to like, share, review if you can. Helps drive traffic to our podcast. Remember, let's leave our ego out of the fire service. It's amazing what we can accomplish when no one's looking for credit. Much love. Let's stop beating our own and become better firemen. Catch you next time.